Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another exciting episode of Fun with Ansible and making Ansible do things it probably wasn't designed to do. However, like everything else in my life, that ain't going to stop us, is it? All right, so today, what we're going to do, we're going to use Ansible as kind of an abstraction layer for Python to do some fun things with the API. We're going to pull out some asset information and we're going to write it to a CSV file. This is really useful if you're using Extrahop and you need to export, for example, all your advanced analysis devices. So then you can go into Excel and work out, okay, what are these devices? What is Bob in accounting still using this asset, etc., etc. So there's a million one use cases for this. Probably the first time anyone in the world has done. Actually, I know a guy that's done this with Ansible, Apex. So he loves some pain. Let's get on with it. So the first goal is we're going to use the Ansible URI module to pull asset information from Extrahop. Goal number one, yeah. Goal number two, we're going to take this information and we're going to pump it into a CSV compliant format file, which then can be opened in Excel or an Excel-like application, because you're going to see I use POP and I'm not using Excel on that. So what you can see over here is in Extrahop, don't you love my pointer? I don't. In Extrahop, we get the assets all around here, and we get some really cool facts. We get their MAC address, IP address, when it was discovered, but the biggest one is advanced analysis. So these will take up a special type of license. So I want to know all about these. Now this is my lab one, so we're not going to have a lot, but customers may have 16 or 8,000, 16,000 different types of devices in that advanced analysis. So I've got one customer that's got 88,000 assets, but they only can have 16,000 in advanced analysis. So it's always key that they know what these are. So this is a cool way of going through it. Now, where is the information to get all of this? Now, Extrahop has a really cool on-box API documentation bank. So it's using Swagger. I could have just said that. And in Swagger, you can go and you can try these things out, but it actually gives you all the inputs that you have to put into your argument, and these are the outputs you're going to get. It's awesome. Go check it out. It's in, if the quickest way to get there is go to admin, API, and then from there, you can actually create your own API key, because you're going to need an API key to unlock the API. And then you can just pull up an API Explorer, and it takes you to Swagger. It's rad. Now, Ansible, API, and Extrahop. It's like Jack Sparrow. It's like, yes, I understand, but why? See, I don't do a good Jack Sparrow accent. But the components of it is, if you could think of the steps, we're going to get the asset manifest. That's in the first Ansible play, which happens to be called 1.yaml. We're going to JSONify the manifest. So we're going to make it JSON. We're going to just modify it a touch, give it that beautiful JSON string. We're going to iterate over all the assets, because now it's in a JSON format from task 2. We can do that. And we're going to write to CSV only when the asset has one of the fields or elements, and the element is called advanced analysis, equals advanced. And that's in 2.yaml. Now, this is all wrapped up, as I swallow on something, this is all wrapped up in something called parent.yaml. And I'll explain that as we get to it. But I don't want to. Ansible is very simple, but it can be made really complicated really quick. So there's 3 plays: 1.yaml, 2.yaml. Each of them have their own tasks, and they're owned by a parent play called parent.yaml, funnily enough, which says go do this, then go do that. Let's have a look, as I've still got my pointer there. So, by the way, I'm including the code. You will get that in your email. So, Ansible, what do you need to change in 1.yaml? what you'll see is over here, pointer again. I'm going to change my pointer. Let's go and magnify. What does this do? Oh, cool. Now, in the vars area, that's actually pretty rad. I wish I looked at that before. In vars, you will see I've got my Extrahop host. This is the actual IP address of my EDA, 192.168.102.221. And as a dog barks outside, the API key. Now, this is a lab. I'm going to blow this API key. I actually blow the box away faster than I blow the API keys away. So, you can have this API key. There it is. All I do is ask that you substitute your ehost, Extrahop host IP, and the API key. Everything else under that, you don't really need to change. You're entirely welcome to. You could, for example, change assets.json as an output. You could, what else? You could change the JSON strings. All I'm doing at the start here is in task number 3. I love this zoom thing. I'm putting at the start of the file, the beginning of file, asset, and that starts up the JSON. Now, you need to close it as well. And at the end of file, where's this zoomy thing going? End of file, there it is. Now, where's the zoomy part? That closes off my assets JSON block. You're going to see that in a minute. Let's have a look in what you need to change in 2.yaml. In 2.yaml, you don't need to change a thing as I get rid of this pointer because it's annoying me. So in 2.yaml, this is taking in all the information we created in 1.yaml. It's saying my vars file. Actually, I will do. I'm going to bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back. So vars file. It's bringing assets.json. We made assets.json in the last slide. It is then, it's going to create a file using touch. Tell me if this is annoying. Well, it can't tell me because I can't go back in time. It's not two-way medium. But I've made a file using the touch command called advanced-assets.txt. I should have called it advanced-assets.csv. Now I think of it. What's done is done. And what we're doing is we're going to write a couple of things to make it look like a CSV file. If you think of a CSV file, it's got the header rows. And what I've done here is I've given the line ID, display name, and analysis. Now, you may note I didn't put in IP address, and there's a reason for that, because not everything will have an IP, and you will get errors. And where am I doing this? At the beginning of file. So that now takes care of our header row. Now, after this, all I'm doing is inserting some lines, and these, if you notice, are ID, and I'll touch on what an item means, but skip that for a second. So ID, display name, and analysis. Yes, time to get rid of that zoomy thing. Now, the item in front of that references this thing down the very bottom. Let's go find our pointer. We will go with a rainbow pointer. Oh, wow. That does not look like a rainbow whatsoever. No, it doesn't. It's awful. The with items asset is a loop construct. And what it's saying is replace that. So it would be that asset with item, or item with asset. You get what I'm saying? And we just iterate over. So it takes item.id, so it could be ID, it could be asset number 60. It gives it the display name, it substitutes it, and tells us the analysis level. Now, I've only got that in as kind of like an error control, such as if for some unknown reason it picks up something with standard analysis, at least when you open it up in CSV, you can see that. Or, yeah. So you've seen play 1, you've seen 2.yaml, but what is this parent.yaml? Well, parent.yaml is actually what we execute. And it's a bit lackluster, isn't it? Because that's it on your screen right there, with the rainbows going all through it, a bit of swirling universe stuff. All it says is import playbook 1.yaml, runs that. After the execution, import playbook 2.yaml. So one, go and get the assets and JSONify or JSONify that file. Two, it takes the input of that JSONified file, which I think we called it assets off the top of my head, and it just iterates over looking for some really cool things and creates a new file called advanced assets. There's not a lot to it. So if we were looking, what does the or how do we run this? It's very simple. We just get into the directory that's got our Ansible playbooks. So we want to be, for example, here, I've just got it in a certain directory, and in my directory here, we can see I'm in lab. We can see I've got 1.yaml and 2.yaml. You know what? It's time for that zoomy thing. Let's bring that back. Magnify. So where is it? 1.yaml, 2.yaml. And I hope parent.yaml's there, otherwise, yes, parent.yaml, cool. And we can just see there, ansible.lab. So that's that part. And all we do is execute ansible-playbook space parent.yaml. That's it. We will run this, by the way. And what we get when we run it, we'll get, first of all, 2 new files will turn up in our current directory. That's very important. Again, current directory. This is what they look like. Back to our pointer. No, not that one. I want let's go with yellow this time. Okay. This is what it looks like if you were to open up in Visual Studio Code or whatever your favorite editor may be. And when you go and open it up in Excel, this is how it imports. And it's a really beautiful CSV file. We've got our header row, and then we've got all our fields. So you know what? I think we should run this. Heading over to pop. I'm recently gone to 2104. It's not as good as I thought it would be. So this is Visual Studio Code. I've got 1.yaml here. Again, IP address, API key, and just the tasks. 2.yaml, it's here, and parent.yaml, parent. So down into our CLI. Yes, by the way, if you do use Visual Studio Code, you can actually just do it there. But I actually like to do things down here. Let me actually get rid of that because I've got a semi opaque. Is it opaque where you can see through things? It possibly is. Let's have a look. Okay. So all we need to do, based on my amazing documentation, Ansible-playbook. You can tab complete, and it is parent.yaml. I don't need to do any verbose, but if you really want to, a very minor level of the verbose, through to, geez, we are debugging as much as we can. We don't need that because you trust me explicitly. And we hit enter. Now, it's going through. Here's all of our assets. Now, again, this is lab, so I don't care what you see. I probably wouldn't be putting this on the interwebs if it was a client name, but this will take a little while. So this is, what was that, 15 seconds? My home lab, about 70 assets. We could actually tell you exactly how many assets there are. And then it's gone and iterated over, and it's created some new files, and we see the new files, the assets.json. And remember that one of the first plays in 1.yaml, create this component, because without it, it would be just this. And it's, and the one at the bottom. But we want our JSON file to be able to reference asset, just for things to be easier. So that's one file that we made. The other file we made was the advanced assets file. And this is what we are going to open. And this is what I don't like about Pop OS, the 2104. I should be getting my, see, now it comes up. I didn't like that. So I'm now going into LibreOffice. I could have used another application. And I want to open and I want to open advanced assets. Ooh, now this looks like CSV import. Excellent. Okay. And Bob is your uncle or auntie. Voila, we have got what we wanted. And it only took 15 minutes and 20 seconds. However, there is nothing stopping you at this point in taking 1.yaml, 2.yaml, or modifying 1.yaml. There's only a handful of things. Remember I said, all you've got to modify is that right there. And you can go and execute. If you are interested in how to set up Ansible, head over to YouTube. You can actually YouTube my name, and it's got installing Ansible. It's based on an older version, but it's pretty much the same. These days, if you're on Linux, try and use pip to do your install rather than apt. Pip is where it's at when it's Python. So anyway, on that note, I just want to wish you all the best with it. Please feel free to reach out to me, and I will catch you on the flip side once I remember how to press stop. Cheers all. I didn't press stop, did I? No, I typed. Now I've got to clean that up. What did I do with my variables? Oh, there we go. Cheers all. Get back in the right window this time.